Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Likon Onobanjo. The headlines at this hour. Nigeria's anti-corruption agency, EFCC, arraigns former Anambra State Governor Billy Obiano for alleged 4 billion naira fraud. Heavy fighting in Mogadishu as Somali forces battle Al-Shabaab militants. Conjunctivitis outbreak hits Kenya's coastal cities. Details to come your way shortly. We begin the news at this hour in Nigeria, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned former governor of Anambra State, Billy Obiano, on 9 counts of alleged 4 billion naira fraud during his time as governor of the Southeast States from March 2014 to March 2022. The 68-year-old was arraigned on Wednesday before Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Obiano pleaded not guilty for the money laundering charges leveled against him. Counsel for the EFCC, Silvanus Tahir, asked that he be remanded in the custody of the anti-graft agency. Obiano is currently on administrative bail granted him by the EFCC, which includes providing two sureties who are directors in civil service own landed properties in Abuja. Let's now tell you that the Nigerian government on Tuesday asked for the support of the United States on its membership in the G20 and a seat on the United Nations Security Council. President Bola Tinubu made the request on Tuesday at a bilateral meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, at the presidential villa in Abuja. Addressing a joint press briefing after the bilateral discussions, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuggar, said the discussions bordered on agriculture, food security, pharmaceuticals, security, and artificial intelligence. Tuggar argued that Nigeria, being Africa's largest economy, deserves to represent the African voice on the UN Security Council, as 60% of resolutions passed by the UNSC are Africa-related.
It is also important to note that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu brought up the issue of Nigeria's membership and participation in the G20, as well as the United Nations Security Council.
For permanent representation for African voices in the UN Security Council, in other international organizations that need to reflect the realities of today, not just the day that they were created many, many years ago. I think it's no secret that there remains some long-term challenges that need to be overcome to really unlock the full potential. Tackling corruption, making it easier for foreign companies to repatriate capital, these will all pull in a transformative direction and pull in transformative investment. I know that President Tinubu is focused on these challenges, and we also welcome his very bold economic reforms to unify the currency and fuel subsidies.
To security matters now, the troops of the 8th Division Nigerian Army, in conjunction with operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, including local vigilantes, in the early hours of Tuesday, raided a terrorist camp in Kebbi State. This was made known by the Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations 1, Brigade Guzo, Captain Yahya Ibrahim, who said the raid operation was conducted in the identified terrorists' hideout at Sabongeri village in the Shanga local government area in Kebbi State. 3 AK-47 rifles, 3 magazines, 142 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, and 2 pairs of camouflage uniforms were all recovered during the operation. Troops were also said to have neutralized one of the terrorists and extricated 4 kidnapped victims. He added that all the rescued victims have since been reunited with their families, while troops continue to trail the wounded and fleeing terrorists. In north-central Nigeria, Governor Caleb Mutfwang has imposed a 24-hour curfew on Mangu local government area of Plateau State following a violent attack which has claimed lives and left many others with different degrees of injuries. Containing a press statement signed by its director of press, Gang Bere, the situation emerged from violent clashes between locals and suspected herders. Chizo Banyowe tells us more.
Mangu local government area had been seemingly quiet after the Christmas Eve attacks as security operatives tried to ensure safety of both lives and property. Though the actual cause to this destruction is yet unknown and details remain sketchy, including the casualty, reliable sources say shops and houses were set ablaze by irate youths, while some others used the opportunity to loot people's property. Confirming the incident, the Plateau State Police Command says all hands are on deck to restore calm in the affected areas.
There was a little skirmish of attack in some parts of that particular area. And by the grace of God, our very alert police officers and special forces repel fire effectively. And I can also assure you that there are casualties on the side of the assailants. Presently, like you can see, we are about to go to Mangu, Barikin Ladi, Riom, and Bokos for surveillance patrol. And all is well. Concerning the curfew in Mangu, we'd like to tell everybody to remain calm. The curfew is for the safety and the good of all Plateau citizens that live within the houses and that will ply the road along the houses.
With the recent deployment of some major equipment by the Nigerian police force to combat crime in the state, there is hope that nothing will be left to chance in controlling these skirmishes.
It is a very strategic asset, and it's an enabler and a game changer for that matter. So we are about to employ it to the best of our abilities in order to give us first-hand knowledge, give us surveillance, and then of course, we've had issues of terrain in the past, chasing these miscreants into some difficult areas. This aircraft will give us that capability to be able to follow the bad people into whatever nook or cranny they go to. So this is a very good thing the Inspector General of Police has done, and it is going to really boost our effort in countering the insecurity in Plateau State.
While security operatives try to contain the escalation of the incident, members of the public are urged to refrain from taking laws into their hands to avoid further reoccurrence. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyowe.
Away from that, history was made in Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno as it elected its first female local government chairperson in Jere. The All Progressives Congress has established its supremacy in the Borno State's local council elections as the party emerged victorious in all 27 chairmen and 312 councillor positions. Umaro Kirawa reports.
It was a keenly contested election in Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno, once insurgency ravaged by activities of insurgents. The memories of the dark days are fading away as people now exercise their civic duty by voting leaders of their choice across the nooks and crannies of the state.
Ya kamata su kar su bar local government nasu kamar inda gwamna yake haka su ma su je su zauna in ma karfin su babu su je su zauna su yi magana su yi hira da mutane a ba su hakuri abinda akwai ayi musu.
The Borno State Independent Electoral Commission now announcing the outcome of the grassroots chairmanship and councillorship election.
The ruling party APC has won all the 27 local government council elections in the state. Equally, the ruling party has won 312 council members in all the wards in the state.
Inna Galadima, a prominent community leader known for her dedication and grassroots work, was also declared chairman-elect, making her the first female to be elected local council chairperson in the state. Her victory is seen as a significant step towards gender equality and women's increased participation in politics in Borno State.
She had all the requisite experience, being 3 times commissioner, advisor, somebody for the first 2 decades was in the system. So it didn't come to me as a surprise. She's equal to the task, and we are lucky to have her. We will work together. The Borno State government is never deterred to include women in the affairs of hems and affairs of this governor, right from the days of His Excellency Vice President Kashim Shettima to Professor Zilem, and today we are witnessing in Jere. So we are very much happy for us to have that.
Inshallah, we work hand to hand to bring more difference of democracy to our people. Because during our campaign, we promised them, inshallah, when we come to the office, you have access to go farmland.
People of the various local government areas in Borno State now are expecting the delivery of more dividends of democracy to their doorsteps as the elected chairman and councillors takes over mantle of leadership. In Borno State, for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
You're watching News Now. We have more stories for you, but then it will be after this short break. Don't go away. Many thanks for being there. We now tell you that UNESCO is dedicating the International Day of Education, celebrated on January 24, 2024, to the crucial role education and teachers play in countering hate speech, a phenomenon which has snowballed in recent years with the use of social media damaging the fabrics of the society. The theme of the 2024 celebration is Learning for Lasting Peace, as the world is seeing a surge of violent conflicts paralleled by an alarming rise of discrimination, racism, xenophobia, and hate speech. The impact of this violence transcends any boundary based on geography, gender, race, religion, politics, offline and offline. Education is central to this endeavor, as underlined by the UNESCO. Learning for Peace must be transformative and also to help empower learners with the necessary knowledge, values, attitudes, and skills, including behaviors, to become agents of peace in their communities. To further discuss this, I have Dr. Peter Ugodoro, an education researcher, and he will be talking to us more about this. Thank you so much, Dr. Ugodoro, for joining us.
It's my pleasure to join you.
So tell us, what is the significance of having a day to be set aside to celebrate education? What does it mean for education itself?
Well, this is a recognition that speaks to the indispensable place of education in the development of the world we live in, and of course for the achievement of sustainable peace and progress of humanity. And so a day like this is a day when all of us are encouraged to reflect on the fact that education is truly the bedrock of development. And then for governments across the world to invest heavily in it, because once you get education right, most other problems afflicting society will have, a way of disappearing.
Yeah,
and for this particular year,
Yes, we are going to say for this particular year.
Yeah, so for this particular year, focus is on how we can use education to achieve lasting peace. Of course, you know that in many places across the world, we are experiencing turbulence, conflicts, and wars. And that is not where we want to be, because those kinds of situations have a way of obstructing development and leading to loss of lives and property. And that doesn't, bring good news to anyone. So we want to reverse it using education, because we can use our classrooms really to train people to become more analytical thinkers, to recognize that we can live together and become truly global citizens. And cohabitation and cohesion in society is truly a tool we can use to produce better resources that can equip all of us for the roles we should play as individuals and groups and communities to make our world a better place.
Okay, so earlier on you talked about investing in education. Now, looking at Nigeria with the myriad of challenges that the country is faced with in its education sector, how do we begin to channel up discussions in these regards on a day like this to deal with the issues affecting the education sector in Nigeria? We're talking about the poor level of education, allocation to the sector being being minimal or not adequate enough, and some underdealings in the sector. How do we begin to invest?
Yeah, so that's why this day is really very crucial, and I'm happy that a medium like yours is devoting some time to discussing it. And so our hope, when I say our hope, I'm referring to those of us who are stakeholders in the education industry, is that our governments across all levels, local, state, and federal, will devote more resources and energies to ensuring that we give education its rightful place in the scheme of things. And as we speak, it's an open secret that we are underfunding education. Nigeria has an education system that is grossly under-resourced, and that is affecting the quality of education our children are receiving, and that's not something that makes us happy. The level of equipment in our schools across all levels is very poor, very deplorable, and scandalous. Access to education is also very problematic in our country. So many children are out of school as a result of hunger and insecurity and funding challenges. And we also know that teaching and learning is very backward. It's not where we want it to be. Our teachers are not adopting the right pedagogical approaches to helping our children learn how to think. There's so much focus on what to think rather than how to think, and that is probably one of the reasons why when people become adults and get into parliament and are in the executive, they are not able to think properly. They get too selfish and take care of only themselves and their immediate families, not recognizing that it is when all of us are happy that we can guarantee a peaceful and cohesive society, which then can give way for security that all of us pray for.
Finally, before I let you go, of course, UNESCO has said that this year's theme is learning for lasting peace. So how do you think educators and educational institutions can begin to teach our students and pupils to combat violence, hate speech, and do things that promote peace in the society?
Yeah, we need to begin to emphasize our common humanity, starting from our classrooms. That doesn't look like what we're doing at the moment. There's so much focus on what divides us rather than what brings us together. Sometimes we have the tendency to think that, preaching religion and pretending that the religion we practice is better than the religion other people practice is the way to make our children feel important, but that's not good for us. We should, I think, depart significantly from overemphasizing religion in our national life to now putting on the front burner our common humanity. That way, our children will learn to work together with children who come from other ethnic groups and their religious backgrounds, and even social status, and that is the way to go. And so a day like this, puts spotlight on that, and I think that if you and your colleagues in the industry continue to remind us of the indispensable place of education in the world, we are likely to become more conscious of how useful education is in virtually every sphere of our lives. At the moment, not much of that is happening. Our classrooms are not being managed well because teachers have not been trained to be able to manage the classrooms in ways that will make the children work together right from kindergarten. And even when they become adults, they will be able to do things well in a way that makes us cohabit and emphasize our common humanity all the time.
Dr. Peter Ogudoro, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
It's my pleasure.
Moving on now, despite Nigeria being among the top 5 countries in sub-Saharan Africa with the cheapest cost of internet data, citizens say they are unsure if they actually get value for money spent, as they cannot explain the rate of data depletion when being used. Our correspondent, Edong Joseph, reports.
Internet connectivity has become an integral part of the life of many Nigerians. as it provides access to the world, making information readily available. According to a report by a United Kingdom-based online daily, Nigeria was ranked 31 out of 237 countries globally and second in Africa with the lowest cost of data. This, however, places Nigeria among countries where mobile data is affordable, despite complaints by citizens that they still do not get value for the money spent.
Before you can get to, you can get a data of 1.5, maybe at the rate of 9 or 7 point something gig, but right now it's 2,000. And even the 2,000, you discover that within 3 days, you have exhausted your data without even checking YouTube or whatever.
In terms of using that same data you buy, is like a blind man business. Because when you buy data, you can't use it. The network will tell you is 1 week. And when you get that data for 1 week, hoping that you are doing these things for 1 week. But it will use it like 3 days, 2 days, depending on what you do.
If they are telling us it's 1 month, let it be 1 month. Let us make use of that 1 month. If it is 1 week, they should allow us to make use of that 1 week. You know that you will buy a 1 month data, and after 1 week, you see that you have exhausted your data without even using to do what you want.
Some subscribers also accuse telecom providers of extortion and unsolicited charges.
And maybe I was thinking, I said, when did I subscribe this thing? And the worst is that before you know, I see deduction without my knowledge. Then I will start asking, when did I subscribe for this thing? And at the end of the day, I may not even use that particular plan they are putting me on. Are you getting me? So by the time that money is gone, who do I complain to? No, nobody.
I have a money that's still pending in the bank. Now the bank will say that the MTNs have not do anything about it. And when you call the MTN says go to the bank. And that's why I said that the whole system is not working. Nigeria is not working. No single system is working in Nigeria. No single system that is working. That's why everybody is doing the way they like.
While it is not clear whether the rising cost of operations, coupled with a tough business environment, make up operational costs that telecom operators now transfer to customers, citizens are calling for stricter monitoring of operators to stop them from fleecing the public. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
I'll tell you that the Indian government has pledged to invest about $30 billion in Nigeria as part of efforts to deepen trade relations between both countries. The Foreign Minister of India, while speaking during an India-Nigeria Business Council meeting in the nation's capital, Abuja, says that India is committed to investing more in the country to improve trade between both nations, which now stands at about $13 to $15 billion. Marvelous Obomano tells us more.
India is the 4th largest economy in the world and is projected to be the fastest growing emerging market with a gross domestic product of $3.4 trillion, driven primarily by its service, industrial and agricultural sectors. Some economists believe India will be the 3rd largest economy in the world by 2030. With an export of about $766 billion in 2023, India is regarded as a global emerging economic power. Within the last few years, the balance of trade between India and Nigeria has significantly improved and is now manifest with several Indian-run businesses visibly seen in the country. With $13 to $15 billion worth of trade annually and a commitment to invest about $13 billion in Nigeria, India has shown a willingness to deepen its trade relations with Nigeria, and it is time for a serious conversation on how Nigerian businesses can invest in this opportunity.
India's exports in the year that has just been completed was $766 billion. And I'd surely like, and I'm sure you would surely like, a larger part of that share to come to Nigeria.
For the balance of trade 2022 between India and Nigeria was $14.95 billion, 2022. This is an improvement from what we saw in 2021 at 8.81 and the year before at $11.8 billion. is that it's a significant improvement in our trade relationships.
This gathering comprises of active players in Nigeria and Indian business communities, seeking to leverage on existing economic relations, including trade, investment, and other sectors of the economy.
The issue that has been hampering the investors coming in is the confidence. But now that the president and this administration is now removing those bottlenecks and they are creating investor confidence.
It's also very important to note that the NACIMA has signed an MOU with the NIBC to further deepen trade and investment opportunities between the two. So by and large, what we should be expecting is an increase of, we'll say an increase in trading, an increase in investment opportunities.
If we are to give this relationship more weight and substance and practicality, we should get beyond the world of protocol and diplomacy, not look at it in a very narrow sense, but really to get down to business and look at different parts of our economy and of our government and of our policy making and see where is it that we can build.
The government must begin to look at bottlenecks that hamstrings investment in Nigeria and create right policies that will attract foreign investment. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomman.
To health matters now, as the rate of infertility continues to grow among young couples in Nigeria, reproductive endocrinologists have called for government intervention to enable affordable treatment and solutions for affected couples. Lifestyle factors and diet have been attributed to the sudden rise of infertility among young couples, usually at the age of 35. News Central's Adeshawo Dushoga reports.
About 5 to 8% of couples worldwide are affected by infertility, and the prevalence of this is higher in sub-Saharan Africa, where 10 to 30% of couples in Nigeria are affected. This has been attributed to varying reproductive challenges such as abnormalities of the ovaries, uterus, and fallopian tubes in females, and the problem of ejection of semen, absence or low levels of sperm, or abnormal shape and movement of sperm in males.
With sexually transmitted diseases and pelvic inflammatory diseases, some of these bacteria or causative agents can cause what we call tubal factor infertility, okay? Some of them attach to some of these walls and make it difficult for the egg to transport or to be transferred to the point of fertilization. So we have had an increased incidence, of course. Then we have unsafe abortion. That's a thing of worry because in Nigeria, I stand to be corrected, abortion is illegal. Yeah, but countries and other nations have started looking at it from a different point of view, because if we can control illegal or illicit abortion, if we can control unintended pregnancy with the uptake of family planning, we are going to significantly reduce maternal and infant mortality.
One of the breakthroughs in science to tackle the rise in infertility among couples is artificial reproductive technology, such as IVF, which involves handling of eggs and embryos for women. But this is yet to be widely accepted as a result of cultural and religious beliefs.
A surrogate is a reservoir, yeah? There are testing, there are questions, there are physical examinations that go on before this process is even started, right? So the egg is retrieved from the couple intending to have the baby, then combined with the sperm of the man, yeah, then put into the surrogate, or it will just be an artificial insemination of the sperm alone. So there are different types of surrogacy. We have the ones where the woman just carries the baby, she doesn't have any genomic or genetic makeup to share. Why some, they say, oh, I want you, I have my prerequisites, yeah, for who my surrogate carrier should be. It must be tall, dark, fair, all those physical appearances come into play. So for cases like that, an artificial insemination is just done. So there's a likelihood that genetic material will be shared.
While in vitro fertilization, otherwise known as IVF, has been identified as one of the several techniques available to help people with fertility problems have a baby, the cost of this process has made it inaccessible and discouraging for most couples in Nigeria. This made it necessary to call for government-owned IVF centers to crash prices and make it more affordable for those desperately in need of these. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
Coming up on the news, Ethiopia are ready for talks on port deal with Somaliland. We will bring you details of this in a short while. Don't go away. We now head to Southern Africa, where Kungwini Amalgamated Workers Union of South Africa has commended the latest Financial Sector Conduct Authority report, vowing to expose non-compliance and fraudulent practices in the private security sector. The Finance Sector Conduct Authority's report revealed alarming statistics indicating over 3,262 companies and municipalities in arrears for pension fund payments, with the private security sector constituting 83% of entities not compliant. The private security sector Provident Fund faces non-payment from 2,224 companies, amounting to 6 billion rand. Joining me on the news to discuss this is the National Coordinator, Kungwini Amalgamated Workers Union, Khumbulani Moyo. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Yes, no, thank you very much, and also to your viewers, and also for giving us this opportunity to elaborate on the matter that you've just introduced in regard with the findings of the FSC.
Yes, so could you please elaborate on the specific actions KAWU plans to take to intensify the fight against fraudulent practices in the private security sector following the FSCA reports?
There has been a lot of engagement with the law enforcers in South Africa in particular, because most of these companies, they are private security companies that we operate in this space, although also there are municipalities that have been mentioned, where we are a majority union and the largest in South Africa is in the private security sector. Out of the numbers that we have highlighted, the 2,226 that are non-compliance, 60% of those are in the private security sector. So what has been happening now, most of those companies that you find that they are more than next to 60 days and next to 20 years, some of the findings according to the FSCA. We have dealt with them in terms of reporting them to law enforcement, and also some of the companies that have a number of years and that owe a lot of money. We've already, through the Provident Fund, that has got its own adjudication, laid those matters to the High Court, so that those directors get prosecuted, and also they are managed to attach their assets, and so that they can be able to recover some of the monies that are owed to the security officers in South Africa.
Permit me to quickly ask, why is it that these companies in the private security sector, why are they non-compliant with rules of engagement? Why did they engage in these fraudulent practices? What do they stand to gain?
Some of them, the employees that are working in the private security sector, you'd understand in South Africa, this sector has got more than 1 million registered security officers. Those who are more regulated and monitored through the Bar and Council in South Africa, which has got inspectors that on monthly basis, on daily basis, they do random checks. They are around 300,000. So most of those numbers that are within the Bar and Council are in compliance. But the 700,000, you find that a director owns the company, then he deducts money that is supposed to be paid to the Provident Fund or the medical insurance. Then they take that money, then they keep it to themselves, believing that they are not going to be caught. But in the past 6 months, the FSCA has come down to those companies and is now naming and shaming those companies to say, you are deducting money, because employees do submit pay slips that shows that there is a deduction. And when you come to the administrator, you find that that money is not reflecting, and it's got a dire outcomes to the employees. Because once his parents or himself passes on, or his family passes on, they are not able to be compensated in line with the insurance or the Provident Fund rules. And once also they get to retirement, they discover that those monies were deducted and being not forwarded. As we have discovered as the union, we've discovered that it's a pure fraudulent issue. People thinking that those owners thinking that they're not to be caught, but now they've been caught, and now we are dealing with that with law enforcement to make sure that it's either they get deregistered or their contracts get cancelled, because it's not acceptable in terms of South African laws that you deduct money and you don't send it either to the Provident Fund, like the ones that they've been highlighted at the FSCA, where there are billions that are owed to the employees, next to about 6 billion.
Okay, so to just quickly break it down, what specific measures now does KAWU recommend for the PSIRA to enhance its regulatory role in ensuring companies under its jurisdiction comply with South Africa's laws and constitutional provisions?
What we're recommending is that the joint operation that has started now, we welcome, because over the years we've been lobbying as organized labor, which was KAWU, SATAW, and other unions, which are in South Africa, which are largely operating that space, to say, let's have that joint operation where all the stakeholders, for example, the FSCA is a regulatory body that deals with monitoring to say these funds are paid in time. Then also we've called upon, there's a regulatory body called the SIRA that registers these companies to be able to operate, and also that registers security officers to be able to operate. We've called an Indaba on the 14th, and Indaba in South African terms is like a conference, or where we're going to deliberate with the Bargaining Council, which is a key stakeholder. It was formed in the 4 years back. It's got inspectoral that are dealing with the enforcement of some of the non-compliance. We've invited SIRA also to be part of that process. That conference is going to take on from the 12th to the 14th of February 2024 in Johannesburg and Braamfontein. And further on, we've called also law enforcement to make sure that they tighten some of the loopholes that they've got when these companies are brought to court.
Okay, Kumbulani Moyo, thank you so much for helping us understand this better. We appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much.
We continue with the stories in East Africa, where heavy fighting is underway in central Somalia after Al-Shabaab militants attacked military bases in the Mudug region. Eyewitnesses in the capital city, Mogadishu, told the newsmen that they heard heavy gunfire and explosions at dawn on Wednesday. The attack reportedly began with a suicide bombing targeting government special forces. Galmudug Security Minister Mohammed Abdi Aden said that troops are still battling the militants in Ad village, where the military bases are located. The Somali National News Agency reports that the army, with the help of locals, thwarted the attack, inflicting heavy losses on terrorists. But Al-Shabaab said it seized the 5 military bases and killed dozens of soldiers. Away from that, Ethiopian National Security Advisor Ridwan Hussein has said that Addis Ababa was willing to listen to friends in a bid to de-escalate tensions with Somalia over the controversial port deal with the self-declared Republic of Somaliland on Monday. Ethiopia's National Security Affairs Advisor Hussein Redwan criticized meddling by opportunistic external actors in the row between Somalia and Ethiopia. The remarks were perceived as aimed at Egypt, which has warned against threats to Somalia's sovereignty. The row was triggered by Ethiopia signing a memorandum of understanding with Somaliland early this month. The deal gives landlocked Ethiopia access to seaports for military and commercial purposes in exchange for recognition of Somaliland as an independent state. Still in the east, health authorities in coastal Kenya are investigating the outbreak of a viral eye infection in the region. According to local media, the cases of conjunctivitis have mostly been reported in the counties of Mombasa and Kilifi. Residents have been advised to observe hygiene practices such as hand washing, avoid the sharing of personal items, and refraining from touching their eyes. Last week, health authorities in Tanzania issued an alert after recording 869 cases of the disease in a month, mostly in the commercial city of Dar es Salaam. Conjunctivitis, also known as red eye disease, is inflammation of a membrane that protects the eyes. The disease is caused by allergies or infections. Straight to sports now. The Nigerian village in Abidjan has opened its gates for football fans across Africa, seamlessly blending sports, music and culture. The rhythmic beats of traditional Nigerian drums echoed alongside the cheers of passionate fans. Favor Itwa has more.
The Nigerian village in Abidjan is buzzing with vibrant energy as it opened its gates for a grand football tournament, AFCON 2023, seamlessly blending sports, music and culture. The rhythmic beats of traditional Nigerian drums echoed alongside the cheers of passionate fans.
Yeah, it's very nice being here because I've never seen something like this in Cote d'Ivoire before. I've been in this country for a while and it's very nice because I've never experienced this before. The Nigerian village is very well organized and everything is okay here. We are enjoying ourselves.
I think you need to come here to feel a sense of community, to just reconnect with people from Nigeria, obviously. The Nigerian community here is really big, but it's not very often that we get together to do anything. So we're here, it's nice to have Nigerian food. I've also got the opportunity to meet people who came just for AFCON. I live here. I've had so much good Nigerian music, cultural dances. It's just been amazing.
Local artists and musicians infuse the air with a fusion of Afrobeat and Ivorian rhythms, creating a dynamic atmosphere.
It's been Nigerian food, Nigerian music, Nigerian culture, everything Nigerian, and it's been beautiful. I was here earlier in the week as well. The day before the Ivory Coast game, there was a rally to create awareness for the game against Ivory Coast. And it was very beautiful seeing Nigerians born in Ivory Coast, Nigerians born in Nigeria who have also moved over to Ivory Coast. It's just a mixture of everything good about Nigeria, the food, the culture, the music, and people like us who came to Ivory Coast just for the AFCON. It's been good to get some Nigerian food, some very good Nigerian food as well.
Colorful stalls showcase Nigerian craft and cuisine, uniting communities through shared experience. As the tournament unfolds, the village has become a melting point of diversity, fostering a sense of unity and celebration that transcends borders.
Personally, if you ask me, I believe our music is probably our biggest and best export right now. It is impossible to go anywhere in this country and almost anywhere else in the world and not listen to Nigerian music. So our music helps us to connect with people. I've met Ivorians who do not speak English, but they can sing some of these songs word for word.
Yeah, very nice. Bringing Nigerian music to Cote d'Ivoire. Nigerian music is #1 in Africa. So bringing it down to Cote d'Ivoire is a very nice something and we are enjoying it.
The Banya event has left an indelible mark, promoting camaraderie and cultural exchange. Favor Itwa in Abidjan for News Central.
And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we take another look at some of our major stories. Nigeria's anti-corruption agency, EFCC, has arraigned former Anambra State Governor Billy Obiano for alleged ₦4 billion fraud. Heavy fighting in Mogadishu as Somali forces battle Al-Shabaab militants. Finally, we told you that conjunctivitis outbreak has hit Kenya's coastal cities. Do send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. You can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.